There's a Russian forward who makes scoring look effortless. Teammates say he's impossible to defend. Coaches call his hockey vision elite. His junior numbers are staggering and his patience with the puck seems years ahead of his age. His name is Ivan Demidov, and in the 2024 draft, the Montreal Canadiens took him 5th overall. So, if he's this good, why did teams hesitate to grab him sooner? Was it the move to North America, the wariness around Russian prospects, or something else entirely? He slipped in the draft, and that's the point. To understand why, you need to see where it all began. Ivan Demidov's path wasn't that of a child prodigy dominating from the very beginning. In his early days, he looked just like another hardworking kid in the St. Petersburg system. Coaches liked his instincts, but no one was ready to call him the next Russian star. What set him apart came later, when his creativity and ability to see plays before anyone else started to separate him from the pack. Even as he rose through the ranks, there was no instant guarantee he'd be a top NHL pick. Russia produces skilled forwards every year, and Demidov had to prove he could excel against older competition. That proof came during the 2023-24 season, when his numbers exploded at the junior level, 60 points in 30 MHL games, followed by 28 points in 17 playoff games to lead SKA 1946 to the Kharlamov Cup. He wasn't just keeping up, he was tilting games single-handedly. Scouts kept hearing the same report: vision, hands, and hockey IQ at an elite level. Those stats weren't empty. He backed them with highlight moments that stuck in people's minds. One night, he scored 5 goals in a single game, an outburst that spread quickly through scouting circles. In the playoffs, he delivered a Gordie Howe hat trick, showing he wasn't just a pure scorer, but had the edge to impact games in different ways. These flashes gave weight to the numbers and reinforced the feeling that he wasn't just an ordinary prospect. What coaches pointed to most was his composure. At ages where most players force pucks or panic under pressure, Demidov slowed the game down. He could hold the puck until lanes opened and then strike with precision. Defenders constantly complained that he felt unpredictable. Just when they thought his options were gone, he'd spot a pass no one else saw, add in a natural finishing touch around the net, and it became clear his production wasn't a fluke, but the result of complete control over the pace of play. By the time his junior career peaked, Demidov was no longer mentioned as simply promising. He was producing and playing with the poise of a pro, stacking evidence that he belonged among the elite talents in his age group. And yet, when the draft arrived, not every team was ready to treat him as the obvious choice near the very top. That hesitation would become one of the defining storylines of his draft year. Why did Ivan Demidov's name come later than expected on draft night, even though he was one of the most gifted players in the class? Leading up to the draft, he consistently appeared in top 5 projections. Scouts praised his creativity, his vision, and the way he could dictate the flow of the game. By pure skill evaluation, he belonged among the very best. Yet, as the draft grew closer, questions began to shift the conversation. The debate wasn't about whether Demidov had NHL tools. His dominance in Russian junior leagues had already proved that point. Instead, it was about external factors that created uncertainty. Teams faced 3 specific concerns. First, his availability and contract ties with SKA St. Petersburg in the KHL, which raised doubts about when he could actually come to North America. Second, his injury history before the draft, including knee and ankle issues that caused missed time. And third, limited live viewings on the international stage since he spent almost all his season playing in Russia. Together, these points made some organizations temper their enthusiasm despite his numbers and highlights. What analysts often describe as the Russian factor played into the conversation as well. Teams weighing a top pick wanted certainty of when a talent would join their system. Some prioritized immediate availability and lower perceived risk over waiting for a player with unmatched upside. That calculation pushed Demidov down the board, even while many evaluators argued his ceiling was higher than several players chosen before him. On draft day, those hesitations were enough for a few clubs to pass. Montreal, however, approached it differently. General manager Kent Hughes and the Canadiens staff even traveled to Russia, making sure they had the best information possible before their decision. When their term came at 5th overall, they chose to trust what they saw. A skill set too rare to ignore, even with the questions attached. Some evaluators openly stated that Demidov's offense toolkit surpassed many of the prospects taken earlier. They pointed to his blend of shooting and playmaking, strengths that usually take years to round out in young players. For them, the story was never about what he lacked. It was about the uncertainty around how and when his talent would reach the NHL stage. So the question becomes, did the caution make sense? The on-ice proof suggests otherwise, because when you examine what makes his game so dangerous, it's clear why passing on him could end up looking like a mistake. What sets Ivan Demidov apart isn't just that he was a top prospect, it's the specific tools in his game that consistently tilt contests in his favor. His skill set isn't one-dimensional, and each part of it complements the other to create a player capable of breaking down defenses in ways most opponents simply can't predict. Start with his shot. Scouting reports describe it as a deceptive release, combined with elite puck dexterity. He doesn't need a long windup. The puck snaps off his wrist before defenders can react, and from angles that force goalies into uncomfortable positions. It's the kind of release that translates directly to higher levels because it's quick, disguised, and repeatable. Vision is the second piece. Demidov processes plays faster than his peers, often anticipating how defenders will move before they actually shift. Central Scouting noted his excellent offensive instincts and highlighted him as a two-way competitor, which speaks to how consistently he makes smart reads. For defenders, that unpredictability makes him dangerous whether the puck is on his stick or moving through a passing lane he spotted early. Patience ties it all together. Where most young players rush under pressure, he makes defenders overcommit and then exploits the opening they leave behind. That calmness under pressure isn't theoretical. It showed up on the scoreboard. In the 2024-25 season playing against professionals in the KHL, Demidov led SKA with 49 points in 65 games and set the all-time league record for points by a U20 player. Production like that against grown men confirmed his composure wasn't just a junior-level edge. It carried over at the pro level. What impressed coaches most was how mature that style looked at his age. A teammate once explained how frustrating it was to defend him in practice because even drills felt like puzzles. He always seemed to find a new solution. That hockey IQ made him stand out in development, and it's the trait that convinced evaluators he would be more than a highlight player. If there were any lingering doubts about whether his skill could transition overseas, they were quickly addressed. After signing his 3-year entry-level contract with Montreal on April 8, 2025, he scored a goal and added an assist in his NHL debut less than a week later.
Digits on his back of 93. Goes after it now. He's in. He scores! Oh my! Demidov!
That immediate impact underscored just how translatable his game really is. Shot, vision, patience, anchored by maturity and proven production. It's a profile that's rare in any draft, and one that now defines the way Demidov is assessed. And when placed in the larger story of his draft class, it raises a striking possibility about his true legacy. Ivan Demidov could be one of the most impactful players from this draft class, and here's why. He didn't just dominate juniors. He set the KHL record for points scored by a U20 player and followed that by scoring in his very first NHL appearance. Those milestones prove his game scales up against tougher competition, not just with peers his own age. Teams that passed on proven elite skill and a player already producing against men might be regretting that caution. Was it a careful calculation or a mistake? Tell us in the comments what you think. If you enjoyed this video on Ivan Demidov, check out this NHL lifestyle video. It's not what you think.